What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am your host, the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, this is going to be a fun one for everyone. I've got my buddy from Queensland, Todd Eastman, returning to the show, representing Top Tier. And I'm excited to have Todd on. You know, last time we had Todd on was probably about, say, 7 or 8 months ago. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to have Todd on. But before we get into that conversation, I do need to take a quick second to thank our sponsor for tonight's episode, and that is healthvape.com. Ladies and gentlemen, healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. So do yourselves a favor and go over to healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you're tuning in, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. Hit the bell to stay notified. Listening on a podcast platform, go and give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics and it helps us reach more amazing people. But without further ado, let's get into my conversation with the one, the only, Todd Eastman. What's going on? Welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world. And I'm joined by one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know I say that about every guest, but this time I actually mean it. Todd Eastman, welcome back to the show, brother.
There you go, mate. I tell you what, like watching those opening credits, you can really see an evolution of your hair.
Or the evolution of it.
Or the de-evolution. One or the other.
Well,
I mean, I'm there with you. So there's a reason I wear this hat all the time.
Dude, I was going to say, like, you're approaching 10 years of podcasting. That is like, or streaming, whatever it is you want to call it, putting out content. 10 years, bro. Like, I would love to see the video footage of you evolve over the 10-year period and, see how
those old ones, everyone would have got cancelled back in those days.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, they would have.
Probably. For everything that people said back then that was just sort of like acceptable to say. That you just can't say now. Just like you just can't say a lot of the stuff, which is like I completely understand. But it's like, the evolution of the hair though, that's pretty much gone a long time. Yeah. That was gone. Well, I had hair, and I'd been wanting to shave because I knew it was going. I always like that Jim Owen joke. I don't know if you ever heard it when he was going bald. He decided to shave it because he said, "If you're going to go on my terms." Yeah, and that's pretty much what I said, but my wife was like, you have to keep it until we get married. And then after the wedding, I want wedding photos with you with hair. And then after that, you can shave it. And that's then fair. Pretty much like the second week after we got married, it was gone. And it's just easier. So much easier.
I, for the longest time, was in denial that I was going bald, and I refused to admit it. Like, I actually grew my hair out, like, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and grew it out till the length was probably down to about my jaw, and I'd have it, like, slicked back and shaven on the sides. And then, but I knew, because people kept saying, oh, you going bald at the back there? I'm going, no, I've got thick black hair. Like, no, no. My hair's always been like this, but deep down I'm going, fuck. And then it's like,
at least they told you, man. Like, no one told me. I used to have like the full fucking like Beckham faux hawk thing going on.
Oh, really?
And I had no fucking idea until we were at a wedding and somebody had taken a photo from the back of the chapel. Oh. And I was like, I looked at the photo and went, I've got a bald spot. Like just out of nowhere, I've got a bald spot. My wife's like, oh yeah, you've had that for a while. I'm like, you want to tell me? Oh, I thought you knew. I was like, how would I know? It's at the back of my head.
That is like, mate, like, you know what? Like, I think I saw something similar, like a photo, and it was like, and then like after I sort of realized the hair went shorter, like, crew cut sort of thing, 3 all over, whatever, then a 2 all over. Then I was like, what? I went 0 all over or something. Then I was like, you know what? Just one day, just razed it, and I'm like, you know what? That's me from now on. I'm gonna be.
I was 0 all over for a long time, and just because it was annoying to constantly have the big shaver out shaving my head.
Yeah.
And then my wife bought me one of those the pit bulls.
I've seen the 3 blade gimmick things that.
Mwah.
Yeah, my wife's been wanting to. My wife said she wants to get me one of those because it's like I originally
you can use it in the shower,
dude.
I sit in the shower and just go.
Fuck, that's incredible. I actually grew my beard because I got sick of waking up and shaving every morning, and now like redundant.
Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to shave my beard because my wife was like, "You look like a child. Grow a beard." I'm like, "All right, cool, thank you." Not too long, because if it gets too long, it's what are you doing now? I'm like, I've just decided to grow it out. So you're not Santa. Trim your beard. Like, right?
Well, I've only recently I trimmed mine right now. Mine was like down to here for a while, and I was just like, but my kids have never seen like even my eldest has never seen me without a beard. So it's kind of like I don't know, like that's the same with my dad. Like I've never seen my dad without a beard. So it's kind of like I don't know, passing on the story. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, because when my dad was alive, when he grew a beard, it was all different colors. So I've kind of been like, I think I might have had the same thing, but it's lucky I just went gray early enough that it hit it all. So it's sort of like uniform.
Yeah, well, yeah, now it looks, but you're definitely rocking it, man. It looks good. But man, like it's crazy. Like
this is fascinating wrestling talk, by the way.
That's why shooting the shit on set, bro. I don't know if you've caught up to date with some of the content that I've been putting out here, man. But like sometimes shit gets a little bit crazy on this show. It is, man. Like this show, we try and talk about everything and anything, and we do get into it, man. But like, mentioning the wrestling side of things, bro. Like I heard that Top Tier and yourself are going to be on World Series of Wrestling this Thursday, which is when this episode is actually going to be airing. So if you're watching the episode, you couldn't make it there in Queensland, make sure you get it out on Fight TV.
Yeah. Standing room only at the moment for tickets. So hopefully they sell out, and then the only way you can watch it is on Fight.
Absolutely, man. Like how's the ticket sales going on that? Are you keeping track of that, or are you watching?
It's like I keep getting updates from Adrian, the owner, and it's like it's been standing room only for a little while now. So you would expect, because the way crowds are, usually a lot of them just don't rock up until the night. So I wouldn't be surprised if the place sells out on the Thursday night. So if you're watching this now, it's a sellout. 81,000.
81,000. 81,000.
81,000.
That's a huge draw. That's a huge draw.
Yeah.
So
81 to 75,000, depending on who you want to listen to.
Man, but it's good that they actually included, because is this the first time they've included Queensland in the tour, right?
Since it's been a couple of years. It was the first year, but the thing was, right, because there was a whole bloody thing about the ring there and Austin Aries being Austin Aries and doing Austin Aries things. So everyone was saying that they weren't going back to Brisbane because of the ring and the blah blah blah. And it had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with finding a venue that was like suitable. And that didn't want to charge the earth, but the venue that they ran the first time, I think they tripled the rent for the second time they wanted to come up, and was just not financially viable, which I completely understood. But like, you can say that till the cows come home to the wrestling fans, but no one's going to believe that. So no, it's because of this, because I saw it on a show.
Well, wrestling fans don't actually like, I mean, you could say, that they wanted to charge this at the venue, but like they don't see the back end and sort of how things all sort of get put together for a show. So it's like, to them, it's sort of like, well, why wouldn't you just pay it? You're going to sell it out. Like, but then it's like, But
are
return
you?
investment. Yeah.
Yeah,
But if you do, even if you do sell it out, depending on what you're selling the tickets for, is that they're going to cover the cost of the venue and everything else?
that's right. Yeah, and if you're skyrocketing price like that, you're not going to cover your costs. No way. Not with something like World Series where they're bringing out so many internationals.
100%. 100%. So, is this your first time on a World Series show, or is this?
No, second. I was on the first tour with Jake Nova and Rip Riley were against the Headbangers.
Oh, that's cool.
And this time, I think we should be up against. Well, we've sort of challenged whoever's got the World Series Wrestling tag titles. That's who we want. So, be it Pereira, be it Warbeard, whoever's there, we want those titles. Those boys,
Really?
The boys want the titles.
There you go. So, I mean, interesting story to go. There you go. Straight into promo style. Todd Eastman laying it down.
Well, you got to try and sell it, brother. No, look, like if I'm being completely honest with you, it would mean so much to like Queensland wrestling if boys could pull off that and win those titles, just because of how overlooked the wrestlers up here in Queensland get. They really do get overlooked and I know that every state has this thing. Well, no, we get overlooked, not as much as what like the Queensland boys have been overlooked in the years, because they've sort of always been shoved off as like the redheaded stepchild of Australian wrestling. And everyone up here has been working their asses off for the last, well, even more since the pandemic, but before then, but even more since the pandemic, to really prove that they're on a world stage, or they're at least on a national stage. And there are a good handful, like 5, 6, 7 guys that could easily burn any card around the country and stand out, in my opinion.
Well, Top Tier was on the Impact show down in Wagga, I believe, as well. So, and I think they like NWA. So I feel like Queensland getting included in this, like, yes, like there should be more talent from there. And I think like as time progresses on in the next few years, I think we definitely will see a lot more talent coming out from Queensland getting these opportunities.
Well, it's like Top Tier, which is like myself, Tim Hayden, and Mitch Ryder. Mitch is going back to Japan in November for another tour. So he's done that twice this year. He went to he wrestled over in Vietnam. He wrestled over in it's in South America. He'll kill me for not remembering it.
I think he actually told me about it on the podcast as well. So now I'm sitting here trying to remember it. So
but like he is literally traveling the world, like wrestling at the moment, which is amazing for him. It's great experience for him, and everywhere he's going, he's like showing out. So it's not like he's going there and just sort of like, he's going there and like putting on a show. Yeah, like when he was in Japan last time, he was tagging with Hartley Jackson on some shows as well. Really? So I mean, like the guy, and he is like, I've known it for a while, but I'm glad that the rest of the country is starting to see how good he is. It's the same thing with Tim Hayden. Tim Hayden's one of those guys that, like, if he gets a chance on a show in a good position, he will show them how good he is. Like there was a couple of weeks ago, we were up in Townsville for QWA, and we had a match against Kozo Fujita and Robbie Eagles. And that was an amazing tag match. Like to the point where like I was on the outside managing, sort of forgot I was managing and was just watching the match. And I sort of had to snap out of it. Like it happens a lot when for some reason, anytime I'm in a match with Robbie Eagles, that sort of happens. I'm like, fuck, he's good. Sort of like, oh, hang on. No.
Stop it. Yes, you can't fan out.
Well, you don't. It's not so much fanning out. It's just like you're watching going,
you lost in the moment. Yeah,
it was really good.
Like it's interesting because like I feel for the most part where like we see certain wrestlers here in Australia like get these opportunities consistently, and I'd kind of like to see more of like when we are seeing big brands coming out is seeing some of like the like more, I don't want to say probably more of the up and coming. Yeah, like more of a variety. Like nothing against the top guys in this country, but like how many opportunities do they need to get on that stage? Like, you know what I mean? Like they've been there.
Oh
they've
no, I
done
know.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Speaking like as someone who works with the guys that aren't really getting like I can't really say it so much now because I know that the boys are like top tier are getting those opportunities now, but that's because they've been working their ass off to do that. But when I see like say the Impact Down Under thing, right before the boys got contacted, I saw like it was like the Philippes, it was like the Velocities. It was like, well, yeah, they're on every show when someone comes down.
Yeah,
it's sort of like. That's cool. I don't know. There are a lot of other guys that could do with that. Like guys like Ben Braxton. Guy, you know what I mean? And that's just exactly. And that's not a Queensland guy. I'm not like saying because it's Queensland. Like guys like him would be something that they don't get to see all the time. That's like because if you're one of those people that come out and go, okay, it's an Impact show. I want to go and see the Impact guys. 9 times out of 10, if you go like 2 or 3 times, you'll see like Robbie Velocities on every show. Robbie, I sort of don't count as because I consider Robbie almost an international at this point. He's been a regular at New Japan for the last 4 years, 3-4 years. So I got sort of like I think he's moved above, like he's still an Aussie. Don't get me wrong, but he's moved above that thing.
I get what you're saying, and I feel like being the biggest name in Australia, like in the wrestling world, you'd have to have him on because it's kind of like. I feel like the audience and the fan bases of like a GCW Impact would know who Robbie is.
Yeah. And honestly, having Robbie on a show is like just backstage is an amazing boost. Like having Robbie work with guys, having Robbie teach guys along the way is like, I'll say straight up from the one match that Mitch and Tim had, or Mitch and Tim and myself had with Robbie and Vegeta. Those two boys learned so much about tag team wrestling just from listening to Robbie and talking things out with Robbie and Vegeta. They learned so much about tag team wrestling. And really, because when you look at it, they hadn't tagged a hell of a lot. Like Mitch and Tim haven't really tagged a lot because up here, primarily at the moment, they've been used as singles guys because they're two really good wrestlers and it's easy to split them up and make the majority of the card stronger.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But mostly when people come up and they want a tag team, they'll have those two guys because we're already in a group. We're in a sort of like a faction. It's easy to tag us up. Yeah. But the matches that we've had is like they've had. I can't remember what the name of the NWA tag champions. They worked those guys.
The American, the Mexican Wolf.
It's Mecha Wolf and thingy. I can't remember what their name is, but lost something. I don't. But they worked those guys, and like when GCW came up, they got split up because it was and unfortunately both Tim and got injured the night before, so they couldn't have their match. Like Tim and Loco, was he?
Hijo del
No. Mitch actually worked Vikingo. It was a really, really good match.
Oh, Gringo Loco.
Gringo Loco, thank you. That's who it was. He got concussed the night before, and Tim actually had a bad fall the night before at World Series before the show, unfortunately, and couldn't make the World Series show, and then couldn't make the Pro League show, but then also couldn't make. It was sort of a blessing in disguise because Gringo couldn't make it anyway, so it was sort of like. Because he was kicking himself that he missed out on this opportunity. But I was like, look, mate, the opportunity wasn't there anyway. And then at the end of the day. So
100%. Yeah. But even then you're better off to be healthy than,
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that we're seeing that like a lot of in the Australian scene though, like people going out there injured and still wrestling? Like I don't know if we're really seeing a lot of people going out there hurt and performing.
Like if they're smart, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like to be honest with you, because look, we're not wrestling for sheep stations. Like all of us have jobs, have to support our families, have to support ourselves, have to pay our rents, have to wrestling's not paying our rent. So let's face it, let's not go and risk that to potentially not be able to work, not be able to feed yourself, not be able to feed your family, et cetera, et cetera. I'm always a big proponent of don't go out there to do it just because there's like 200 people in the crowd. Like, don't risk yourself. I can always find somebody else. And it's not somebody else for the long time. It's just for that night, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, for what it is, like, but you put it down to independent wrestling, right? Like, you know, no one's like, well, especially here in Australia. I don't think anyone's getting rich off wrestling here in Australia. And I feel like when you're at this level of it, you're better off sitting out and surviving long term. And then it's like, you know, and I think I even had a conversation with Crackerjack like 2 years ago, and he told me that he came to do a show here in Sydney and he turned up in a moon boot, and Robbie Zuko turned around and goes like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I got a match. I got to wrestle." He goes, "Yeah, you could, or you could not wrestle, heal, and come back and have 20 better matches. Or you could wrestle injured, have a average match and hurt yourself even more for $50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Cracker was like, that's when I went, oh, yep. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, look, like to be honest with you, a while ago, it was in June. I had a match that we'd been leading up to for a year where I'd finally, like, I'd run out of excuses and I had to have a match with AJ Istria. Now, coming up to that, I woke up one morning and just had pins and needles in my thumb and these two here. My thumb and my finger, just pins and needles out of nowhere, and like a pinch in my neck. And shit. progressively over the couple of weeks before, this is before the show, it was getting worse, where it was going all the way up my arm. And yeah, so I was like, and normally I just fucking, I must have slept wrong. It'll click itself back in and I'll be fine. So I went to a chiro and we worked through all this stuff. And he gave me the guy that I went to originally just was trying to get money out of me, pure and simple. So he'd sent me for an x-ray before he even touched me and said, I have this thing where when I was born, everyone was born with, I think there's like four bones in your neck.
Yeah.
Or five bones in your neck, I think it is. I only have 3 or 4 because two of them never separated. Like as you get older, they grow apart and they separate. Yeah. Mine never did. Like there's a little small hole where it looks like they tried to and then just didn't. It happens 1 in every like however many thousand.
Yeah, wow.
So what happened is over time, your body adapts to that and you get scar tissue that forms around it. Now the scar tissue starts like crushing the nerve that's there. And that's what was happening. So I had like, this guy wanted me to go like fucking 4 times a week to him to get constantly cracked and to break up the scar tissue and all of that sort of stuff, which like equated to something like, it's like $200 and something a week to go and see this guy. Jeez. And I was like, that can't afford. I was like, I was sitting at home and I was looking at my wife going, I can't afford that. I'm just going to have to I can't do that. I just can't. It's going to have to take longer because he's like, oh, it'll take about a year to fix, but otherwise could take longer. So I was like, look, I'm going to go and get a second opinion. So I went to another chiro and he did a lot of different stuff that this other chiro didn't do and cracked me. And when he cracked me and just felt pins and needles go through my whole arm. He's like, yep, that got it. I'm like, oh, and he like massaged this bit and he gave me like exercises to do. And I like, because I was straight away going, he's like, oh, so do you have anything on for that? I was like, mate, I've got to wrestle in like 2 weeks. He goes, what do you mean wrestle? I was like, I've got to like bump and that sort of thing. He goes, oh, no, you're fine to do that. I'm like, what? He goes, you're fine. It's just like, you've just got a crushed nerve. Like, it's going to get better. You just, like, I've given you the exercises now. I've put you into place. Just see how that goes. And if it doesn't settle, come back and see me and I'll crack you again. I was like, you don't need to see me fucking 4 times a week. He goes, who told you that? I was like, oh, the other chiro. He goes, I think the other chiro needed a pull. Like, fair enough.
Oh, wow.
But because I was very clear, like going back to, I was very clear with this chiro. I was like, is this going to affect me long term? Like if I have to do this match Or if I have to do this match. If I do this match, is it going to affect me long term? He's like, no, you can still go to the gym. You can still lift all your weights. You're not having any problem doing that day. I said, no, it feels better after I go to the gym, to be perfectly honest with you. And he goes, just keep doing it. If it gets bad, come and see me. Other than that, you should be fine. This has been going on for a long time before you come and saw me. You just never really had the effects until now. So, just randomly about 3 weeks ago, I woke up again, pinched my neck, pins and needles down the arm again. Just have to go back to get cracked again, keep getting cracked again until it works. It's just a thing. But if he said to me,
needles and shit.
Tell me, But if he'd have said to me, look, you can't, that's not safe for you to do that. You could end up like permanent damage if you went and did that and took a bump. And like if you took a bump the wrong way and you could end up with permanent damage, I would have just canceled that match straight up. Even though we'd been building it for a year, it's been a whole thing going into it. And don't get me wrong, I love pro wrestling with my whole heart. It's the thing I'm most obsessed over. It's like my wife is just like, that's one of the things my wife says she loves about me. She goes, I love that you have passion for something. There are not a lot of people that have passion for something in life. So you obviously have that for this because that's all you do and all you talk about. So and even though I had all that, I would not risk that for my future, my family, my pay for the house, pay for all of that.
100%.
I wouldn't have done that. And that's what I know guys don't take that into consideration, but they really should. And as someone who works as a booker, I wouldn't let people do it. Like I'd take that thing out of their hand, that choice out of their hands. Look, I saw your shit. You're not working tonight, man. Sorry.
Yeah, like it's interesting because like there's a young wrestler I know, and I knew him before he broke into the business, and I saw like a promo of him, and he's like going, and he was saying something, and he goes, "Yeah, I challenge you to a death match." And I'm just like, oh. and I saw him like a couple of days later at a show, and I'm like, hey man, please don't do that. I was like, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just don't. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, you've been wrestling for not even a full calendar year. Maybe just, I don't know, learn how to wrestle more and like learn.
There's a different, like death matches have their place, and it is to end ultimate feuds.
They do. That's
in my opinion, of course. That's just in my opinion.
I think death matches do have a place, but I just feel like for the majority of part of what we see internationally and here in Australia, not many people can do it right. And for the most part, it's trash. Like I feel, I feel most of the modern death matches that I see, for the most part, I'm just like, like it's stupid shit that I just go like, you're just hacking yourselves. Like why?
Yeah, like the first time I saw one of them, and like whoever it was, I can't even remember who it was. It might have even been a GCW show. He broke the tubes over his own head. I'm just like, well, I'm done. Why? Well, because what's he going to do to his opponent? He just did it to himself and didn't move. So it's supposed to hurt that guy? What's the point of it? I don't see the point of it. Especially like if a death match is to end a blood feud where these two guys hate each other to the point where one of them can't live with the other one being around. That to me, that's the way a death match should be. And the whole thing too with like I see like places that have, and this is even like WWE and AEW, they do like the Texas death match, but they don't do it right. Just call it a death match. A Texas death match. The actual rules of a Texas death match is that somebody gets pinned, and then they have 10 seconds to
10 count.
Yeah, to come back. If they can't come back, then the match is over. It's basically a last man standing match. Basically, is what a Texas death match is, but with a pinfall. With a pinfall.
But I don't know, because I remember seeing a Texas death match. I think it was in WCW early 2000s with Terry Funk, and I think it was Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. Well, Terry's dad is the one who'd invented the Texas death match.
I don't think that the modern wrestling fans would have the concentration or the fucking, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you got to think they're so used to either the ding, ding, ding. Okay, 1, 2, 3. But then hang on a sec, they've just got to, you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of wrestling fans,
but that's where, like, for stuff like that, for stuff like that, though, they've got the commentators to go, okay, now he has to answer a standing 10 count to win, to come back. Because technically in Texas death matches, pinfalls don't fucking matter. Like, you could pin a guy 1,000 times to one pin. If you don't answer the 10 count, that's the end of the match.
Oh, for real.
So technically, pinfalls don't count, except to have that referee count to 10. That's the only reason that they count. So, and that's the reason, because they're back in the day, because and this is me just because I've, like, not too long ago I listened to, because I don't have a lot of time to read, but at work I have a lot of time to listen to books, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, Audible's like my best friend. So I've been listening to the Terry Funk biography.
How's that?
That's brilliant. It's really, really good. Yeah. Really, really good read. We'll listen to. I say read because it was a book, but it's a really good listen.
But is it read out in Terry Funk's voice?
No, it's not read. No, it's read by it's just read by a normal guy, which is, it's funny because, like, you see some of them, and like because I primarily listen to, surprisingly, wrestling biographies and wrestling books.
Yeah.
And there was one that was I listened to. It's from Tim Hornbaker, who I've just got his new book on Ric Flair, which I can't wait to start listening to. But it's called Death of the Territories, where he talks about and then goes through about, like, how WWF eventually took over all the territories and what happened with those territories and how they started to fall apart and all of that stuff. But you could tell that the guy who was reading it was in no way a wrestling fan, because he would call Gordon Soley was Gordon Soleil. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, that's not his fucking name. But that's just
yeah, that would do that would be the thing that would do my head in the most. Like, if I hear someone like Vince McMahon or McMahon.
Yeah.
McMahon.
But yeah, like stuff like, but that being said, Terry Funk was talking about the death matches with his dad, and some of those would go for, one of them went for 5 hours.
Jeez, yeah, that's a fucking long. Bro, that's nearly a WrestleMania.
That would never happen nowadays. But that was they had 3 matches on that card. And the 3 matches were advertised, but only the 1 match happened, because they had the 2 matches just in case the match ended early.
Oh, fuck.
So they advertised 3 matches because they said, in case this match ends early, here's the other 2 matches that will happen, or that could happen.
Like, I'm sorry, I could not sit there for 5 hours and watch the same 2 people wrestle for that entire time. I don't give a fuck how good they are. Like, I'm telling you right now,
it would have to be very, very captivating. I can't. Like,
even for an hour, I couldn't do I don't think I could do an Iron Man match now.
Oh, I don't know. It depends. Like, honestly, like Okada and Omega, I thought that flew by.
Yeah, I haven't.
They wrestled for an hour. That flew by. I think Sean and Brett's was a bit of a drag.
Yeah, that really
was a bit long, because there was very rest holdy. Whereas, like, Okada and Omega never really stopped. I mean, no, they didn't really sell much, but they didn't stop either.
Yeah, I haven't seen that match, but I'll definitely go check it out, because it's like, I just don't know if I can sit there for an hour and just watch 2 people. Like, I feel like that
was one of the first. As much as people say that I don't like AEW stuff and Omega especially, sort of thing, like that match with Okada had me emotional at the end of it. Like, I had a tear in my eye at the end of it because of how fucking good that match was. And I think like my theory for a long time is just because Okada's really fucking good. Yeah, Omega was there for the ride, but Okada was really good.
I couldn't imagine you as being a Kenny Omega fan, to be honest. Like, that's what I was a little bit shocked when you said that was an amazing match. And I'm like, are you taking the piss?
Look, look, he's a good worker. I just think he thinks sometimes too much about the matches, too much into it. Like, there's a time where you can go too deep into stuff. Like, there's one thing I like to say about AEW, some AEW matches. Like, that match would be brilliant if it was 5 minutes shorter.
Yeah, right.
Because they get to a point where like that would be a great finish, and they go, and here's another 5 minutes of it. And you're like, oh, you lost me. It's like when someone overcooks a hot tag.
Yeah, 100%.
That's an easier way for me to describe it. This is the way I feel when I watch it.
But I feel like there's always I feel like there's a lot of moments that I get whenever I watch like any mainstream wrestling where I'm like that, where I'll sit there and go, that went a bit long, or like, but even sometimes like I see matches, I'm like, oh, really? That's it? Like,
yeah.
And here's another half hour of promos. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Look, as a manager, I don't mind a promo.
Hey,
give me a comment. Keep
hey,
me employed, brother.
Same here, dude.
I get what you're saying, but like for instance, on his Wrestle Dream, Swerve and Paige, really, really good match. If it was 5 minutes shorter, I think personally, I think it would have been brilliant. But I just think they went that little bit longer. It was like, okay, you've kicked out of every fucking thing.
When I saw the name of the show, Wrestle Dream, I kind of eye rolled. I'm like, oh god, this is such a fucking.
Well,
what
they tried to make
creative at all.
No, because like, I can't believe I'm doing this. In Tony Khan's defense, it was a show. I know it was a show that was dedicated to the memory of Antonio Inoki, and the name Wrestle Dream is a very Japanese name for a show.
It is. It is very.
That's a very Japanese name for a show. And if you say like Dream, it's like Antonio Inoki's Dream. There wasn't that many matches on there that would have been like something he would have loved. Like in my opinion, there was like 2 of them, and one of them was on the pre-show, which that still gets me mad about. Like I did a big rant on it last week on our show. About that. Like they had Josh Barnett and Claudio in the pre-show. And that was an Inoki. That was a blueprint to an Inoki match. Like, why the fuck wasn't that on the main show? But
I saw this clip the other day of Inoki, and it was like literally he was standing in the ring,
slapping the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, and there was like 300 people lining up, and he's just like, and like women, men, he didn't give a fuck. He's like swinging, and each one
because that was a rite of passage. That was a rite of passage for a Japanese wrestler is to get slapped by Inoki. That was him passing you.
Yeah, right.
After some matches, I think it was in New Japan, I'm not even sure, he would be doing commentary and the wrestler would go to the outside and let fucking Inoki slap the shit out of him afterwards if he enjoyed the match. That's what that was about. Yeah. Like, everyone was posting that thing out of like just going, look at this shit. I was like, that was what he did. That was a passing, like you've passed. Bang. You passed.
Could you imagine someone doing that now? Like going, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is my rite of passage. I get to slap the shit out of you, and then you get to be around.
No. Japan's a different place, brother. Japan is a different place.
That'd be pretty funny, though. I can just imagine just seeing some people just standing there, like just slapping the shit out of people.
Yeah. What do you think of my match, Todd? That's how much I thought of it. Well done.
What do you think? Two slaps is like 5 stars, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Jeez, man, gives me meaning to 5 stars. But dude, I saw and this is something like me and Ryan Eagles brought this up last week. When he was on the podcast, he mentioned a post that you put out, and I saw the post too. It was about a week ago, very vague, and it was like it was to a certain point, and it wasn't sort of like saying how bad it was or anything like that. It was more along the lines he was saying, yeah, he's putting this out here. You know, I saw that. You know, it doesn't need to put a name to it and stuff. Blah blah blah. Where I sort of said the opposite, and I'm going, I'm the other end of the stick, whereas like I would personally say, hey, this is the fuck, you know what I mean, and call someone out. But in the same sense, I know who you are, and I know that that's not really your kind of style to do sort of things like that. And, you know, most of the times people reading something like that, if it hits home to them, if the shoe fits, wear it, right? But what was that whole thing about? Because like it sparked my interest and a few other people's interest.
It was from someone that's up here.
Yeah.
That constantly was like, did a lot of dumb shit on shows to the point where like, and we'd said to to him, like time and time again. Please don't do this. Don't do this. Why are you doing this? Can you not like for an example, like generally we're a kid show. Please don't swear.
Yeah. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. So what he did was literally told the sound guy, after my opponent leaves the ring, I want you to cut his music for a second so I can yell something out and then play music again. So he could swear.
Jesus, really?
Yeah. And then like there was stuff where like he would say things about this guy that he was working against in a program, which is fair enough when you're in a program, make some jokes, blah blah blah. Once that program was over, he would kept doing it because he wanted to be back into something with this guy. And we're like, it's moved on, brother. You're done. Just stop doing it. To the point where the guy came to us and said, look, it's really getting on my fucking nerves now. It's like, it's fair enough. We'll ask him to stop. Because like after a while, you hear the same fucking joke.
Yeah.
Like, mate, we're not working together anymore. Get over it. Like, so we just said, can you stop doing this, please? Wouldn't stop. There was another thing where we were at a it was like a Comic-Con sort of like deal, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't there, so I've just said to the guys, do not let this guy on the mic because he doesn't help himself when he's on the mic, if that makes sense. He doesn't help himself. So please don't let him on the mic. So they said, look, you're not allowed on the mic. Todd said you're not allowed on the mic. Now, as soon as anyone that had authority was either in the ring or not there, guess what he did?
Got on the mic.
Got on the mic.
Yeah.
Started pointing out things about like, because there was a dumb thing where they made this belt for the festival, right?
Yeah.
And they misspelt the fucking thing on the belt. It's a dumb mistake. Yeah. He has to point it out and then say that's because the boss is dumb.
Well, that's on the mic. That's one way not to get booked.
Yeah, on the mic to a crowd, right? So it was at this point, I've just said to the guy, look, man, we're just going to suspend you until you can apologize to this guy that you keep gaslighting. Like, and genuinely apologize, not just like, I'm sorry. Because that's basically the way he was. He had a real like shit on about it, real like poo-poo face. Yeah. And not only that, like he did the one thing that really fucking annoys me. When you point out someone like that, look, what you were doing is like affecting other people. It's like they don't like this. Please stop it. And they say, well, they're just snowflakes. That fucking triggers me. Because I'm like, what? No, you're a fucking snowflake. Because as soon as I point this thing out, you start getting bitchy about it. I don't say that out loud because I keep my cool. Believe me, under my breath, I'm like, you motherfucker.
I can imagine.
But I'm just like, look, that, and it's just like backstage. When this person was backstage, nobody was happy. It's just a dark cloud that's around. You know, when there's a dark cloud around, there's someone like there's something backstage that's like I just don't feel right here. Everything feels like there's always a fucking drama. There's always something. I was just like, look, if we're going to go forward, we can't have that. You just can't have it backstage. It translates to the show. Translate to people going out because they're not in the fucking good mood. They're feeling like shit. They got to work with this dickhead. All of that thing. So originally we just said, look, man, you're suspended till you can apologize and like honestly apologize and be like truly contrite about your apology. Then there. But if you do apologize on that, we can think about like bringing you back. Like eventually he did sort of apologize, but it was one of those ones that when an apology is not an apology. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So it's to the point where, and look, you know this as well as I do, nobody in wrestling is guaranteed a booking. Ever.
No. Ever.
Right? So what happens is like he apologizes and goes, so I'm on the next show, right? I'm like, no. Like if I have a spot for you, maybe you'll get one. Then he goes, oh, okay. Are you going to put a post up to let all my fans know that I'm not going to be on a show?
Oh, fuck.
And I said, well, mate, John Cena's not on the next show. Do you want me to put a post up and tell everyone he's not there either?
Oh my God.
What am I supposed to list?
This guy sounds really young. He sounds very, very young.
No, he's not. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And the worst part is, like, he's actually really good with fans. He really is. Like, he really, really good with them. It's not worth how good he is with the fans that makes everybody backstage not happy. Do you know what I mean? I just want, like, I love going to work to places that is fun.
Yeah.
We said it before. We're not playing for sheep stations. We're not making millions of dollars. Let's have some fucking fun.
100%. And the thing is, the difference of a show that you're there and you're having fun on compared to a show that you just like, you know what I mean? Like the difference is night and day. And I'm sure like we've both been on shows like that on both categories where we've had a lot of fun, and then we've had shows where it's just like, oh fuck, like I just want to get the fun.
I'll be honest. When I first started working the wide bay shows, it was before I was like doing anything. There was camps of people. So it was like there was a group over here, a group over there, a group over here. Now on wide bay shows, we all sit in the same room and watch the show during the show. And then when everyone comes back, clap. When everyone comes back, it's like, yeah, man, that was really fucking good. Well done, brother. That's the environment I wanted. That's the environment I think is the most conducive to a good show.
It's changing the culture. It's changing the culture though of the place, really, because it's like going from everyone being segregated to now them being one unit, one team. Then everything runs a lot more smoothly on a show.
Yeah, and like if you don't want to be a part of that culture, then don't be a part of it. You're not. I don't want to say, but you're not welcome. Like if you like get on board or get off.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. It's just, and on top of that, this person then went and goes and plays the victim about it. I'm being victimized. These guys aren't letting me. Like I said, no one's guaranteed a booking.
No, like
as much as like we all like to think that we're indispensable, I could be gone from a show, and in 2 months, no one will fucking remember me.
Bro, and I've said this before as well, and you know, and I've copped heat for it, but it's like you look at how here in Australian wrestling, there is no one that is a fucking individual draw that fucking one person will sell fucking 150 to 200 tickets. There is not one person. And if there is, I have not seen it yet.
No, there are a few names that when you see them on a card that, I'll go and buy a ticket. Like Robbie, for example. If you put Robbie in a poster, a lot of people, if you're a wrestling fan, you know who he is and you know it's going to be a good show. But aside from that, there's not a hell of a lot. Like Robbie, maybe Brooksy. I say that because I love Brooksy. I have a soft spot in my heart for Brooksy.
Sure.
But like these guys like that, they're about the only like there's a very, very, very select few people that can do it because we're just not a big enough industry at the moment here.
But I also think it depends on the promotion as well, on who they're trying to promote to. Like if you're a promotion and just running in an RSL club and you're trying to promote to the kids and the mums and dads, they're probably not going to know who Robbie is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not going to know who Brooksy is, unless like there are some that follow the Australian scene and the New Japan and scene and everything along those lines. So you'll get some of them, but for the most part of that particular crowd, they're not really going to be that knowledgeable about this.
Well, it's like they say, I think it was like 7% of the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, is on Twitter. That's 7%. So there's 93% of people that follow wrestling that aren't the super, like you fucking, they know who Dave Meltzer is, and like 7%. Now that's say for America. So how much do you think a lower percentage is that for Australia?
Oh, not even 0.5%. Like shit on Twitter.
On Twitter, on Facebook, that follow wrestling, that follow, like, do you know what I mean? There's a very, very small market of those people. And those people, like, really, if you put a good looking poster out, they're going to come anyway because
Yeah.
they see guys on the poster that look like athletes.
Yeah.
They look like they can do something. The thing is, you've got to try and market to are those people that they go, okay, that looks like WWE guys. They look like, do you know what I mean? Because they don't know who anyone is. But if they look like they look like someone, they're going to come and maybe check out a show. Like ages ago, this is when I first started booking up here in Queensland. I started with a group called Venom, and the first show I booked had Mr. Anderson on it, and they were just like, well, I don't know about if it's worth spending the money for this guy. I said, look, it's worth it to have him on the poster because you're going to get those WWE fans that not necessarily wouldn't come to an Australian wrestling show.
Yeah.
So if they come to that show and they check out our guys and then they want to come back, if we get an extra 30 to 40 people that weren't coming to the shows regularly come back for another show, then that's paid for that guy. Extra 10 even. Because that's an extra what? 200 bucks? No, 200 bucks? No. Maybe 2,000. I can't remember. Yeah. But yeah, it's an extra money. And then like the thing is, get him in with that guy, keep him in with your guys.
100%. And that's where you've got to have a good undercard, good performers on the show to be able to.
That's where quality control comes in. That's where, like, I know he's your mate, like to the owner. I know he's your mate, but he's the shits.
Yeah. But that's nepotism in wrestling, though. Like, you see that so much of, like, just shitty fucking, like, people involved in it. Oh, yeah, he's mates with this person or he's friends with that person. And, and that's where the political side of it, and I feel like, until you're, like, working on shows and you start to see certain things like this, it's like that's when it becomes clear. Like I think that's kind of becomes like an eye-opener when you start to, like, you hear about it, but when you actually see it and go, oh fuck, this is how it works. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Because it happens on all levels of wrestling.
Yeah,
that's the shit.
See, I've heard it before. Like, guys have said, oh, people say that you have favorites. I said, yeah, I do. My favorites are guys that can fucking work. They are my favorites. Why? Because they can work. Yeah. If I get along with them outside, that's a bonus. But if you can fucking work, you've got a place on my card. Because it's not about me. It's about the people that are paying to come and see people.
Yeah.
So, the only way that changes is if, like I said before, they're that much of a shit C-bomb backstage, nobody wants to be around them. Because that way you're not worth it. I'm sorry, you're just not. Not worth it to my mental health. Have you around and have me constantly doing the Al Snow.
But that's the same with, I feel like, like any place really, because it's like if you could be a phenomenal worker, but if you're a piece of shit and like you continually put that out onto people, like if you're a person of influence, that's only going to take you so far, and it's probably going to become to a fucking dwindling fucking end very quickly. But even if it's not, like, even if you've got a good platform or whatever it may be, or you're a good performer, that sort of stuff will slowly drain on people. Yeah, like people might put up for a while, but like shit, after a year or two, or after 12 months of it, they're going to be like, fuck this.
Well, I know I probably get the reputation of being like a bit of an arsehole, a bit like I can be demanding at times. I can, because I just want the best show. 100%, I just want the best show. But if you're a good worker, who is a good person, who like literally like wants everyone else to be better, I want you on my show. Because that's all I want. Like, people don't realize I make fuck all money out of this shit. I do this because I love doing this. And I love trying to give people like opportunities. That if I see something in somebody and I truly believe that they're a good worker and a good person, I will try as hard as I can to promote them as much as I can in many different ways as I can. Like, that's what fucking Wrestle Radio Australia started because Josh and I wanted to promote Australian wrestling to Australia as much as we could. So we did that, and we had people on that we thought were good workers that we could talk to, that maybe as other people got to know, oh, we could bring this guy in. I heard him on the show. He's pretty switched on. He's a nice guy. And if you were listening, then you knew when shows were on, so you could go and see shows. My whole thing is like, I work a full-time job. I come home from work and I book Wide Bay. I do a lot of the graphics on Wide Bay. I do a lot of the video production on Wide Bay. I get paid fuck all to do that. And I do what I do it for is to get these guys the opportunity to be seen by other people. And that's
you got to love it.
A lot of people like that around.
You got to love it though. To say the level of commitment that you put into it, I feel like you've got to love it. And plus, putting on top of that, like the live streaming, the Wrestle Radio Australia stuff. On top of that, like I felt like I'm busy, but then after hearing what you're doing with Wide Bay and also knowing what you do with Wrestle Radio Australia, I'm just sitting here going, man, I feel fucking lazy. Like I gotta pick up my game here. Yeah,
it's like it can be a grind, but like you have to take some time for yourself. And every now and then I can't answer a message. I try and answer a message as much as I can, but there's sometimes when I look, man, I'm just not in them. I can't do it today. My brain is literally fried. Like the day after a Wide Bay show, because like we leave for Wide Bay shows, we leave at about 10 in the morning, like from here in Brisbane. We drive 4 hours to Maryborough. We do the show, we pack up. So we're out of there about 11:30, maybe 12. Then we drive home.
Yeah.
So we get home about 3, 4 in the morning. So literally we've been going the full fucking day. So on Sunday, I'm just wiped. I don't want to think about wrestling, but of course I have to get up and do the graphic for the show for what happened, start promoting the next show, and then go back to bed.
Jesus, man.
That doesn't stop.
Yeah.
That's the thing about, like, everyone talks about it. Like, there's a good maybe 2 hours after a show where I'm like, and then after that, I was like, well, next show. Jesus. It just doesn't like. It's basically like you're ripping a page and like, all right, new page, start to write this one.
But I feel like I feel like that's what you need to be doing as a booker is like continually be like on the go like that. You've got to be continually on the grind, like not sort of sitting back looking at your handiwork and giving yourself a round of applause. It's like,
yeah,
all right, show's done. All right, this is what I'm thinking for the next show. Like,
well,
I think you've got to have that mindset.
Yeah, at the moment, I've got the next show planned, but then I don't really have anything planned because it's a new year.
Yeah.
But I'll start then because the new year starts everything again. And then I usually book in 3-month spurts. So basically, unless it's something I've really got, like that's a real like passion thing of me, or like an idea I've got, like, hey, this thing is going to go for a year and it's going to pay off here. Unless I get one of those ideas, generally it's like a 3 to 4 month angle. With a lot of stuff, and maybe there's 2 or 3 of those on a card on a show, because you can't, like, I know Tony Khan likes to have like 1,000 different angles. I personally don't think people can keep a track of that much shit.
No, they definitely can't.
If you can give them 2 or 3 like angles through the show and just some really solid matches, I think that's a solid card. I think that's a solid like company over the time. So I book in like 3-month angles.
That's pretty good. Like, have you ever booked like a 12-month angle, like a full year story?
I booked a 6-month. That was with Bobby, and Bobby didn't realize that I'd booked it because I didn't tell him. Because Bobby's very. So what now? For what now? So if I'd have told him that was going to happen, he would have somehow fucked it up on the way, because that's just Bobby. Bobby's him. Like I literally say, you just Bobbied yourself out of that, because that's what he does. He's one of those guys that is so fucking giving, he will give up his spot for someone else. I'm like, motherfucker, that was for you. I thought about that for you. Oh, but this would be better. I thought about this for you.
He talks himself out, almost out of
the whole thing with him, like him and Rip Riley. Rip Riley and him were tag team. This is back before the pandemic, right? Then when the pandemic happened, They'd broken up just before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic happened, we didn't really get a chance to pay that off. So there was never a feud. Yeah. And they sort of just went their sort of separate ways. So I thought, well, fuck it, I've got Wide Bay now. I'm going to start this shit up again. We can tell the story from ages ago and we can sort of fire it up. But then I'll keep it on the back burner. So that's what I did. I kept it on, like, they had their matches and Bobby lost to Rip. And Bobby lost to Rip again. So then Bobby would try and help his friends, like, as being like just a good mate. trying to help his friends, like, and I'm gonna like to finally beat Rip, because Rip is running riot on Wide Bay.
Yeah.
To the point where he got to a match with Yeet Stevens, and it was a anything goes match. So they went through fucking this, that, and the other. Yeah. And then after the match, like Rip had pulled out the victory, and he went to attack Yeet again after the match. So Bobby ran out and fucking like ran him off.
Yeah.
And Rip said to him, Rip just grabs the mic, and this is all like story, of course. Rip grabs the mic and said, look, Rip grabs the mic and says, I'm sick of you being in everything I have to do. So here's the thing, Bobby. If you want a shot at this, you get a shot at this right now. But if you lose, you are gone. You are out of here. I'm sick of seeing your face. Bobby accepts the match. Match only goes for about a minute, and Bobby pulls out the win.
Yeah, brilliantly told. Brilliant
that
story.
That crowd lost their fucking mind, because they never thought that that's what was going to happen. And secretly all along, they didn't realize it, but they wanted him to win that belt the whole time. And secretly, I want him to win that, because he's the ultimate underdog. And every time he's got a match where he's defending that title, people think he could lose this.
Kind of like because that Mikey Whipwreck feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby's like I like to think of Bobby as the everyman. Like the dude has cardio that you would not fucking believe. Like no one would realize it. Look at him. Dude does 1,000 burpees a day or some shit. It's insane.
That's fucking insane. That is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. But he's work over the last
such a good dude.
And a great dude, and like just the work he does with everyone, like behind the scenes, like at the school 3 count with Lucille.
Yeah,
like he does everything to dedicate himself to trying to help like Queensland wrestling as well. To the point where like he will give up certain things. Where I have to say to him every now and then, mate, it's okay to be selfish a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
You don't have to constantly give up your spot to people.
But
you don't have to do you're allowed to get a little bit of few.
But me and him spoke about that the last time I had him on the podcast a month or so ago. And he even acknowledged that, where it's like, even when he was on NWA, they're like, he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he's like trying to give up his spot on NWA for someone else. And they're like,
yep.
Why would you do that?
That was me. That was me. He was like, maybe I just give this guy. I was like, why wouldn't you just fucking do it? Just do it. You're good enough to do it. I don't make people that like I don't think could work. I don't make them my champion for fucking 6 months if I don't think they can work.
100%. 100%.
You're a good worker. You're a good bloke. Stop giving other people all your opportunities, because eventually you're not going to get opportunities anymore, because people are going to say, oh, he doesn't want it.
Yeah. 100%.
But I wish I got some of the opportunities he got.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, because like, you know, he's such a generous guy like that, and I really like Bobby. I think he's one of the nicest people in pro wrestling. And you know, I feel like for the most part, when he was telling me that, I'm going, why? What? You know, like, that is insane, dude. Like, no way.
Yeah, like behind the scenes, like online, everything, I give him as much shit as possible. That's because I love him. He's one of my pretty much one of my best mates. Like I talk to him near on every day. But that's because for me, he's the perfect foil, because everyone loves him. Everyone hates me. I think it works perfectly. Even to the point where, like, because I liked him, when we were doing the stuff with Venom, we had nothing to do with each other, like completely separate things with storylines and all that. I would still give him shit on shows. Even though we had nothing to do with each other, we didn't interact in any way. I would find like ways to say, like to anyone that were like an opponent, we're gonna break your head and you'll be limping like Bobby Bishop, because Bobby had hurt his knee at the time.
I like it,
because I constantly wanted people to go, oh, fuck, I want him to get Todd one day.
Yeah. You're putting him over, really, at the end of it. Like, it looks like you're shitting on him, but you're putting him over. But like, one of the things I wanted to ask you as well, did you see there was something that was put out, when would it have been? Probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And like, someone put out this presentation, almost, I saw it on Twitter, of DMDU and everything they've sort of their start, and like they started out being this ultra progressive organization.
Yeah, it was Rebel did it.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, she's very involved in Melbourne wrestling.
Right.
She's
I'm
very
not trying. I'm not
dedicated.
saying I don't know Rebel. I'm saying
No, but for the people at home that don't know, she's like very dedicated to working behind the scenes. Done a lot of work over a lot of years to help like Melbourne wrestling get to where it is today. She's a great person, a lovely person.
And yeah, so she put she's the one that put this together, and it kind of was like it was really well done. It was very well.
Because she took a couple of weeks to do it because she kept asking. She would keep messaging us and ask us about certain things because, like I've been sort of on top of that sort of thing from day one because I sort of I smelled a rat. I smelled something. Not I smelled a rat.
It didn't seem right.
My spidey sense tingled.
Yeah. And look, for the most part, like I feel like seeing the sort of stuff. Like I spoke to a fan here in Australia, here in Australia, here in Sydney, and this would have been maybe July, I want to say. And I spoke to this fan, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I bought a T-shirt from DMDU a year ago, and they haven't sent it to me yet." And I'm like, I was like, "What are they saying?" "Oh, they keep saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming." And I'm like, I don't want to be a dick, but
Christmas,
you got scammed, bro. Like I, you know what I mean? But like this fan wasn't really, you know what I mean? Like it was, I was trying to be delicate with this fan, if you know what I mean, because of the of the person. But like I was saying, I think you may want to sort of follow them up a little bit harsher on this and maybe press a little bit more. And he's like, "Oh no, they're good people." And then a week later, going to a DMDU show wearing a jumper, and I'm just like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like,
and I think that's the thing that frustrated me or frustrates me more than anything else is that when they kept doing this stuff to all these people still kept supporting them. It's like having a bad boyfriend and they still keep going back to them. Oh, I know he cheats and I know he's doing me wrong, but I love him. Like,
he's
treating you wrong.
Person.
Yeah, you don't know him like I know him. No, I'll watch those shows.
Yeah. It's and for the most part, like 13 grand. But I did hear that they have started paying fans back.
Yeah, they have started, but I think, and I don't want to like cast aspersions. It seems like they've started paying back people that spoke up.
Yeah, because their hand was forced.
Yeah,
like I feel like now their hand was forced.
My biggest issue with this was, and I'll say it till the cows come home because I said it from the very first start. The thing was never protected from the get-go. It was just done through their website. It wasn't done through a GoFundMe. It wasn't done through something where there's protections, where if something happened and something went wrong, all these people were guaranteed to have their money back. And then also when it happened, like, oh, sorry, we couldn't get it. So this is what happened. Like, then if you couldn't get it, then where did the money go? Because if you couldn't get it and it didn't work out, then technically wouldn't you still have that money? And if you still have that money, why can't you just give that back their money? That was my biggest problem with why they didn't use a reputable like charity thing. Like that's like we're doing one soon, and I told you about it before the show.
Yeah.
Like November, we're doing a 10-hour thing. I want to try and set that up so it is protected. So if that money doesn't go to charity, that money will go back to everyone who donated.
100%.
Because I don't want that shit on my conscience.
No, and most people don't. But like the way that, like, even then, like having it go through their website, it's not protected. Like it just.
And then the worst part is, after all that shit still went tits up, you could still donate to that. That website was still live where you could go and donate money.
Of course, but like even the thing is, like I heard workers weren't getting paid, and I heard that directly from workers that they did shows and they didn't get paid. So it's just, yeah, I think that was the promotion that offered the world, and then just
the biggest thing was more the hypocrisy of it. Like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be better than everyone else, and they ended up being worse than most of them. which is sad to see, because like it's always good when you start, like the way they started out and the way the whole ethos and everything, like brilliant. But if you're going to do that, make sure you back that up.
Yeah.
And then the thing is too, they also they offered people that were like somewhat vulnerable, made them feel like that they were part of the family. And I feel like that those people got taken advantage of, which I think is probably worse than anything.
I think they played on that because
that's what upsets me, because I don't like that shit. I don't like people getting taken advantage of.
But the thing is, well, you look at majority like of wrestling fans, and hell, even like people involved in wrestling, like there's a lot of mental disability that I've seen. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm not saying it to be whatever, but I'm saying like you see a lot of people with some form of mental disability that are attending shows and fans and stuff like that. That and I feel like preying on that.
They're the ones you have to, See, they're the ones you protect the most.
Exactly, bro. Like like, dude, I remember I was managing a show and this guy came up to me and handed me and I was in full gimmick. I'm doing all the thing. And he's come up to me and he handed me a Erica Reed shirt. And I've taken the shirt and I've just gone, I've thrown it over my shoulder onto the ground. And then I've just gone, and I'm looking at the fan, and the fan is a fan with Down syndrome. And I'm like, oh shit, what do I do here? Do I break character? I was just like, all right, I just kept on moving. And but like after the show, like I came out from the back and this fan this guy beelined for me and just hugged me. And then the person was with him saying, thank you for making him a part of it. He loved it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he was like, can we get a photo? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But you know what I mean? Like I felt so horrible for that split moment. And what I did was like, just do what
some of the stuff I've said to
some
of the stuff I've said to fans, and then turned around and looked at like there's a woman that takes photos at World Series at Pro League, Barb, and I've said something. There was a guy in a wheelchair and he was giving it to me large, getting stuck into me, and I was like, because I didn't even see who it was. I just turned around. Don't make me come over there and slap you. And I turned around and saw who it was. He said, really going to slap a guy in a wheelchair? And I was just like, well, it's not like you could chase me, mate. And then turned around, like, I turned around and Barb's looking at me like, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty bad. I feel kind of bad about that one. I'm really sorry.
I don't feel like that is as bad as what we've seen, like Christian Cage doing on AEW, going like, your dad's dead. Like that sort of shit is just like,
it's part of his gimmick now. It's part of his gimmick.
But it's so good. It's like I saw him do.
But you've got to know that's been cleared. That's got to have been cleared by the other person. If it hasn't been cleared, like we had a guy up here that's a manager, and he's in a wheelchair as well.
Yeah, and
he was just like, I don't know why they did it, because it was in my opinion it was stupid. They had two heels going at each other. Like this manager heel was trying to convince like this other guy to come with him as part of his stable, and it was a guy that I used to manage. So he like got stuck into me on the mic. And he just happened to this guy that was a babyface at the time was facing someone who I manage.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm going to say some really bad stuff about you before the show. I said, yeah, that's cool, mate. He goes, you feel free to say whatever you want. I was like, I said, okay, yeah. No, he goes, no, I mean, like, don't take it easy on me because I'm in a wheelchair. Feel free to use that as well. I'm like, are you sure?
I think we spoke about this the first time. I remember this story,
Yeah. Because then I just went on a rampage on the guy to the point where I almost turned him babyface because I just got stuck into him. It's like I think I said something like, I'm not concerned with someone whose biggest feud is with a set of stairs.
I like that. That's good. That is very good. That is awesome, man.
But you know, I just like especially like, because I've got a niece who's got Down syndrome, and I'm like, I love her with all of my heart. She is just the kindest, not a mean bone in her body, and Sweet absolutely love her. And I would move heaven and earth to do anything. Like if anybody hurt her or made her feel bad or took advantage of her, I would not like to be that person if I was near them.
Yeah, for real.
Because it's just my big brother instinct, my uncle instinct kicks in, and I would want to tear them apart. And that's just the way I feel about when I see good people getting ripped off. Right? The good people I feel are getting ripped off, and then aren't saying anything about it. That's what I don't like more than anything else. Like, say something. Like, you message me, you slide into my DMs and you message me about this and tell me how upset you are. I'm the only one out here on podcasts talking about it. Go online and say something. Like, bring it up. Because people 100%. Just think I'm an old man yelling at cloud most of the time.
Well, that's the thing. For me as well. Like, come to me, tell me about it. You know what I mean? Like, same thing. I'm the one going on podcasts and sort of talking about this shit, and like
from day dot when they first did it, I was just like, I don't like this. I don't like that they're. I just didn't like the fact that they were doing it to start with. Because it was always like if you want your own building, like, have shows that draw enough people that you can make the money to, like, stop trying to run before you can crawl.
Yeah.
And 100%. Don't ask other people to pay for personally, I don't like asking people for anything, like, to the point where it drives Lachlan and Jeff crazy about that shit, because they're like, oh, let us do this, let us do that. I'm just like, no, that's fine. Well, they're like, Todd, you're allowed to let us help you. So like, now I'm starting to get, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to get more accepting of people that want to help. But it took me a long time. Like, Davis Storm was one of the guys that said something to me about it, because like we'd done a show, and then after the show we were just talking for about an hour afterwards, and he said something about like what I'd been doing with, like, up here in Queensland with wrestling and all that. And I was just like, it's like, there's a lot of people that are really doing a lot more stuff than me. And he's like, will you just fucking accept a compliment, or accept when someone says something good about you for once? Said, if you don't fucking like yourself, how do you expect anyone else to want to, if you don't love yourself? And I'm
it's
like,
a good comment.
Oh yeah,
from David Storm.
And that's what Stormy's like. He will drop the Stormy fact on you and make you just go, no, you're right, mate. I fucking, like, just take the compliment and say thank you. So that's because he did it, and then he goes, now I'm going to say it again, and I just want you to say thank you, Stormy. And he said it again. I went, thank you, Stormy. Because it's my first instinct is to go, everyone else. That's my first instinct, is to deflect.
Yeah, man.
I don't know why, just stupid me brain. But
I feel most people though, like, just don't want. I don't know, like, they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what I mean, like, but like, I think most people like hearing something positive and being like, oh, no, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, but to sit there and go, oh, no, there's other people going out there. I think that just goes to show you that what you think that you're doing, it isn't as.
I don't think, like, I honestly don't think what I'm doing is enough.
Yeah.
I want to do, like, I wish I could do more.
But what more could you do, bro? Like, you're already booking, you're already doing all the, like, the graphics, the editing of the video, like, man, it sounds like you're running the whole show on your own.
No, and that's the thing. I'm very much not. There's a real dedicated team of people that do a lot of stuff up here to make things better. Like,
you need to have a team of people.
Yeah, from all the guys at Pro League, from Jesse, and he hates people saying his name, but Jesse does great work for Pro League, like helping running that Pro League, because it gives people down here in Brisbane somewhere, like, it is the show to be on when you're in Brisbane. It is the, like, pro wrestling league it's the tits. It's the show to be on. And if it wasn't for him and for Mitch McCarthy back in the day, bringing that, like, Pro League around, I don't know what would have happened to like wrestling in Brisbane, because it just wasn't anything.
It wasn't there.
No. And guys like Bobby and Lucille, 3 Count Academy. If they hadn't have brought that, if they hadn't have, like, taken that up and started that up again, no one would have had no one in Brisbane from those group from, like, AWA stuff. They would have had nowhere to train. And not only nowhere to train, nowhere really, really good to train. Because look, when Mark Davis comes in and says, like, Bobby, I want to help you because I'm stuck here in Australia because of the pandemic. I want to help you guys. I want to help. There's a group of guys that really want to, like when Rufio wants to help. When like all these guys, like I'm just guy going, you should punch this guy in the face, and this is why. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
These guys are doing the hard yards, like training, being dedicated, like getting their look right, getting their everything else right. I'm just like going, here's where you can do that.
Yeah. But still, they need it. They need a stage and they need a platform, and you're able to present it and do it in a way.
I'm only able to do that because Anthony and Kate have that place and asked me to come and help them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got no real skin in the game because I've got no real money in the game. All I have is my mind, my creativity. That's all I give up for him. And I say that's all I give up, but I give as much as I absolutely can of that.
Yeah.
There isn't a minute of the day where I'm really not thinking about some fucking stupid angle we could do or some idea for a guy, or like, I really like this kid. I just don't have an idea for him. I need to think of something because he's really good. He's got potential. We just need to find something that locks in with him that can unleash that.
Yeah.
And that's,
dude, like, man. Like, but I feel like as far as the disconnect from it, like, you would be like, your mind must be on this stuff constantly though. Like every day, like are you thinking of like booking ideas, show ideas, like things to like, do you have a time to break from it?
Do I? Do I? Do you know what though? I don't think it's a fact of like having a break from it. I just think it's a fact of like, I'll watch something on TV and I go, I could adapt that. That's pretty fucking good. I could adapt that. Or I'll just be like at work, walking around, and something will click in my head, and I'll go, "Fuck, that would be a good idea for." And I'll message someone and go, "What do you reckon about this?" Like Bobby will get a message every now and then. What do you think of this idea? Should I pitch it to him? Yeah, fucking yeah, it sounds all right. Like we got one coming up soon, and it's no one knows. Like there's like 2 or 3 people know who this is, and it's a young kid. It's a wrestler. But we've just called him Certified Puppy. And his whole thing is like straight from your girl's house. That's how he's going to be introduced. No one knows who it is yet. No one, like Anthony doesn't even know who it is.
That's awesome.
Because I won't tell him. He's like, who's
straight from your girl's house?
Yeah. He's like, who's Certified Puppy? I was like, well, you'll find out November 18th, mate, like everyone else.
Certified Puppy as in PAPI or PUPPY?
PAPI.
Oh, right. Okay.
I got the idea right because like what is like Drake's Twitter handle, Champagne Puppy.
Right. Okay.
So I can't say call him Champagne Puppy because everyone's going to just directly fucking Drake.
Ripping you. Yeah. You're stealing from Drake.
But if like certified is sort of like one of those words that like I'm a certified G, I'm fucking so why don't I just do Certified Puppy? This guy fucking loves himself. Thinks he can get all the women he wants in the world. That if that's not a hateable gimmick, I don't know what is nowadays.
I like it. I like it straight from your girl's house. That's the cool intro point of it.
And I'm gonna give him business cards with his social on it, so he can hand out to girls to slide into his DMs.
Oh, that is.
But I've said,
cool.
I've said to him, if you hand it to them, if they talk to you, if they like message you at all, send them a link for tickets. That's all you do. Don't talk to them back. Send them a link for tickets.
Yeah,
because they want to see you. If they want to see you, they have to pay to see you.
Oh yeah, because that could turn around. Yeah, you've got to have a pretty strong-willed performer in that gimmick.
Well, yeah. Not only that, but I was like, and if you got real balls, you'd go up to the girls with the boyfriends and give it to them.
Oh,
because that's heat. That's how you get heat.
Oh,
if I was good looking enough to do it, I would do it. I would love to do that shit. I'm born to shit stir.
You wouldn't be that good looking after they got through the boyfriends. Got their hands
you just got to be quick. Yeah, it's got to be strong. It's got to be quick.
Quick and to the point, man. I love it, man.
Yeah.
But dude, before we wrap it up, man, like 10 years, Wrestle Radio Australia. That's a huge accomplishment to be doing this for that long. Definitely take my hat off to you, man, the OG of doing this shit here in Australia, bro. But you guys are going to be doing a 10-hour live stream on the 11th of November. Yes, I got that right in the meeting. I called it the 11th of September. I'll call myself out on that. But 11th of November, you're going to be doing that. It's going to be a 10-hour live stream. So tell everyone what can they expect for 10
Okay,
hours?
well, like I said, a 10-hour live stream because we've been around for 10 years. And I personally just thought it was a nice little thing to do. Like everyone does live like marathons, stream marathons. And I thought, well, we might as well do it to make it mean something. So like myself, Lachlan, and Jeff, we're going to be there for 10 hours from 12 till 10, I think was the time we worked out on. The 11th of November. We're going to try and raise money for men's health, mental health, because that, if anyone that has ever watched or listened to Wrestle Radio Australia, they know that the original host of Wrestle Radio Australia was myself and a guy called Josh Armour. Josh was he was the original guy that I met in Riot City Wrestling. He was the original voice of Riot City Wrestling. He started Wrestle Radio Australia to start with as Wrestle Hustle Radio. Remember Wrestle Hustle magazine?
Yep.
They asked him to do the podcast, like a podcast version of the show. And I was on the first show doing Jim Cornette spots. Like, you remember that Jim Cornette thing from Raw?
Yeah, the little rants and stuff that he used to do. Yeah.
Because we've been talking about this thing for ages. Because I tried to get a Riot City Wrestling podcast up when it first started. When podcasting was sort of, because I'm a massive Colt Cabana mark. Yeah. And he was just like, the podcast, the Art of Wrestling podcast, anyway.
100%.
And I was just like, well, we could use this thing as like a radio thing to promote shows. But it was just a little too non-kayfabe at the time.
Yeah.
Because this was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So that really wasn't as prevalent as what it is today. Yeah. So that sort of got knocked on the head by the higher ups in Riot City. But Josh was just like, well, I'm going to do this because they've asked me to do it. So do you want to do quick, like 2-minute, like Jim Cornette sort of like, because you're always ranting. Like, if anyone listens to the show now, I'm always going on a rant about something. Like this week where I said that Tony Khan's not a good booker, he's a good matchmaker.
Yeah.
Stuff like that was, I would do stuff like that. And that lasted one episode. And then after that, because that's where Views from the East came from. That's what the segment was called.
Yeah.
But then he's just like, he goes, I kind of want a co-host to bounce off. Like, do you want to come on board? So from like the second episode onwards, we were just co-hosts. And then when like Wrestle Hustle sort of thing wasn't really working for us, it wasn't really, we just like broke off on our own. And like I said to him, so why don't we just call ourselves Wrestle Radio Australia? It's like, it's basically radio. It's Australia. Like, this is what we want to focus on, Australian wrestling. Let's talk about WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor to maybe get the people in, but then go, here's Australian wrestling. So at the start, it was like we would do our thing. We would talk about like WWF, WWE at the time.
Yeah.
But then we would have people all around the country that we could talk to and go, what's going on in Perth this weekend? And I think it was like Tez himself did Perth. Ree did Melbourne. Chris Dalglish did up here in Brisbane. I can't remember who did Sydney, but like we had like everyone in different states.
That is,
and then we would do.
That's
and
awesome.
Then we would do like a quick, like 10-minute interview with wrestlers back in the day. I think my first one I did was with Matt Silver just before he went to be Buddy Murphy.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it sort of became less of us talking WWE and more of us just talking about like wrestling, because local wrestling became something where we could watch more stuff from more places. Because back when I first started, you could, unless you bought DVDs, you didn't see, like I didn't see MC Dub. I didn't see, like, not like nowadays where you can cover, like we can cover shows from everywhere because we all watch them on Fight.
Yep, 100%.
And then we would start the interview, and then we realized that the interviews were starting to get longer to the point where, like, well, fuck this, let's just talk for 5 minutes, do the interview. And so that's what Wrestle Radio Australia became for the longest time. Unfortunately, Josh lost his battle with mental health. I think it's 6 years ago now. It's hard to, I mentally blank that out, unfortunately.
No,
but
that's understandable.
Ever since then, like it was at a point where I nearly folded the show because I was like, what is the show without my right arm? What's the show without the guy? He was the dude that does what we do now. That they're like fucking. I'd say to him, man, I got this cool idea where we do this and then we have this sound, and we have this sound. Work that out, Josh. I'll see you later, brother. And that was it. Yeah. And then I had to work all of that shit out myself. So like I worked it out enough. Like it sounds fair enough when you listen to it, I guess. But it was like it became a thing where like I just felt like I couldn't fold this show, because if I folded this show, it felt like I was folding Josh.
Yeah. Because
this was his dream was to be able to promote wrestling to the world, Australian wrestling to the world. He loved Australian wrestling. He would hate the fact that I don't like Brian Alvarez, because he loved Brian Alvarez. Like he had Brian on as a guest, and I was like, I'll sit this one out, brother.
Yeah, right. You were like, no interest in Brian Alvarez.
No, because I would have ended up having an argument with him, and we don't need that. I mean, nowadays I guess we probably would, but
that would make great content. But
yeah, but like, yeah. So I was like, I was always going to continue this show, in his honor. That's what from now till the day dot is what we're going to do. And everything I've got Wrestle Radio Australia t-shirts and stuff like that up on Redbubble. If you look up Wrestle Radio Australia, any money that we get from people that buy shirts, and people don't really buy Wrestle Radio Australia shirts, and that's fair enough. But if they do, all that money goes to Gotcha for Life, Beyond Blue, those charities that help with men's health, because it's what my passion is. Because I don't want people to go through the stuff that myself and all of Josh's friends and family went through, because it's fucked. Like we've all probably lost, unfortunately nowadays, we've all probably lost one or more people to this bullshit. Yeah. So anything I can do to try and stop that, I want to. And so that's what this thing is. We're going to be on there for 10 hours. We're going to maybe do some watch longs. We're going to do some interviews with people. I've asked like places like MC Dub, Riot City, if they've got anything like signed merch or anything like that they want to give us, we can auction off as well along the way. For the 10 hours, we'll do that. I've got Redneck Kung Fu, who's if you don't know who she is, amazing artist who's done shirts for like Adam Cole, like MDK, that she's going to do a commemorative like 10-year Wrestle Radio Australia shirt for us that we'll put up for sale as well. All of those proceeds again will go to this charity. All of this stuff for the whole 10 year. I think she's also done the illustrations on a card game called Book It, and I think she's going to give us some expansion packs to be able to.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
To stuff like that. But yeah, 10 hours for 10 years to try and save some lives. They'll try and help save some lives, because I think that the stat when I first started doing this shit, and I started doing it like a while ago now, it was like six people a day lost their life to suicide in Australia. It's gone up to 7 now. So it's not going in reverse. It's fucking going forward.
It's accelerating.
And then they say a lot more actually attempt it, but because they weren't successful, it's not really, there's no real stat for that. So we really want the idea of like being able to talk about your feeling, be able to talk about like it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to reach out to your friends and say, "Are you okay, mate?" And like if I said, like, "How you doing, man?" and you went, "Like, I'm fine," like, and I can tell there's something wrong with him, like, "No, man, how are you doing? Are you all right?"
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to talk about it, and you just go,
100%.
"I'm not doing all right, man, but I'm gonna get there. Thank you, Father." Sometimes just saying, like, "Are you all right?" and it just like that other person hearing that can be enough. And if they want to tell you, fucking listen, because that's they want to get that shit off their chest. And a lot of times I know for a fact, like for when I went through a little thing myself, just being able to talk about that stuff made me feel better. It mightn't have actually fixed anything, but I felt better for it because I got it out. I verbalized it.
It's the weight of the world off your shoulders once you really communicate
is.
That shit, and once you be able to talk. Like, dude, I've suffered from, and think we spoke about this last time as well. Like, I've suffered from depression for years, 20 plus years since before I was a teenager. And it's one of those things I know every day that, like, my mental health is one of those things. If I'm not feeling right, just like if I've got a cold or I'm not I've got to take care of it. I need to address it. I need to, you know what I mean? There's certain things you need to do to be on top of it. And, you know, being sad and being down, that's okay. But it's like, you've got to be able to communicate that and talk to that. And you don't need to talk about it with every single person, but like, no. I mean, you know, like for me, I've got a select few people that I talk to about certain things. And you know what I mean? Like this, I've got certain friends that I'll talk about certain things with, but like, I know the friends I can go to where it's like, okay, I can go to them. They'll be sympathetic to how I'm feeling, but they're also going to be, all right, mate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is what's in your control that you can change of how you're feeling right now. You need to do what you're in control of right now.
Yeah.
This other thing that you're upset that's beating you down, you're not in control of that. So you need to you know what I mean? Like, they can sort of talk you through certain things. And I feel like that's, you know, we can't
control what happens to us. We can control how we handle it.
Yeah. Well said.
So, and that's another just true stuff that I've read and all that sort of stuff. And then, like, honestly, the last 2 years, because I just thought I would do Wrestle Rate Australia on my own forever, and that was it. I'd do those interviews, and that was the end of the show. And I really miss complaining about wrestling. There's a lot of stuff I get like that irks me about wrestling, and I'm like, I need to fucking talk about this. And then that's when Lachlan came on board, and Lachlan and I were together for about a year, I think. And then I think I had Jeff on as a guest, and we just really clicked. I was like, if you ever want to come on, you just come on with us, and the three of us can talk. And then that way, if I want to take a week off, and if I want to take a week off because my head's not fucking right, there's two guys that can do it, and it's fine. Like, there's three of us, so there's always two guys that can do it. And if two of us can't do it, I'll find someone and I'll interview them.
If you need someone, you know, I'll always jump in.
Out. But like having Jeff and Lachlan come aboard these last couple of years have been, I said it this week on Twitter, like, they've been an absolute godsend, because not only are they are they're both of them together are like the yang to my yin, whereas they'll be like they're very much the fan sort of side of wrestling, whereas I'm very much the wrestling side of wrestling. I'm coming at it from the industry perspective, whereas they're coming at it from a fan perspective. So like, oh, I really like this, and I was like, well, I didn't like this because of this, and this. No, I didn't think about that. And I'll be the same. Like, they say sometimes, like, this is how we see it as fans. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't see it like that, because this is the way my mind works when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times where we do not agree on stuff, to the point where, like, I'll be yelling and I can't help myself because I'm passionate. And every now and then I come out, my wife will go, you were quite mad there, weren't you? I'm like, no, passionate. It's a different word.
Mrs. Eastman's going to call you out every time.
Oh, mate, we were watching Netflix, The Wrestlers.
Oh, yeah. I've seen first episode.
There was a scene where like something's going wrong on the show, and Al Snow is just losing his mind, and my wife just goes, "That's you. That's what you do on a show. That's what you do on shows, isn't it?" I went, "How did you know?" She goes, "Because I've seen that face." And I was talking about this on like the show the other week. I had Trent O'Day from QWA.
Yeah, we're
talking about this very thing, and he's like, "I've seen that face with you on shows too." I'm like, "Okay, shut up." All right.
Oh man.
But yeah, like going back to what I was like, 11th of November, 10-hour stream. If you want to come along and listen along and have some fun with us, like we do it on like Twitch, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. We're very interactive. Like a lot of times there was a good point there where we get into arguments with people that are on the stream, because it's fun to interact. It's fun to talk. It's fun to talk about I think that my show or our show would be boring if we all had the same opinion.
100%. 100%.
There were so many podcasts where I listen to where everyone just agrees with everything, and it fucking does my head in.
It's boring as fuck. Like, that was the thing. Like, I remember when I did Wrestling with Tragedy, and that was the one thing that, like, that Angel said to me, like, obviously coming from being a worker, he was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm gonna disagree with a lot of the shit you're gonna say," and he goes, "I don't actually disagree with you, but it's like it sounds better than me going, yes, I agree." Continue, white man. Like, he goes, "No."
Yeah. But I was like, when Lachlan first come on, I was like, mate, if you don't agree with me, tell me you don't agree with me, but have reasons why, because I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to we're going to go at it, because I find that is more interesting than like, don't go out and say fucking outlandish shit if you don't mean it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have an argument to back it up, like I'll go out and I'll say stuff like this week when I said before that he's a good matchmaker, he's a bad booker. I'll back that up. I will tell you why I think this. I'm not just going to go out and say it because to make people angry.
Oh, I agree with you. I've said the same words over the years as well about Tony Khan. Like, shit booker, good matchmaker. You know what I mean? But even then, like, I feel like, as we were talking before the show started, like, I watched AEW Dynamite, and it's like I get more of an indie wrestling feel from AEW than I get from like when I watched AEW and then I'd go watch it like as I did the other week, and then I'd go and watch Raw or SmackDown or something else. Oh no, this is not the same level here. This is not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like there's a big difference.
Very much different styles. The thing is, like on an AEW pay-per-view, and I said this on the show, on the AEW pay-per-view, you're going to get really good matches. You just are.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that there's that extra feeling in it, like a story going into it. And people say, "Oh, this story." They're always like really quick. They're just bang, we're going here, bang, we're going here, bang. What happened to Wardlow? Oh, he's gone for a couple of months. Don't worry about him. Is he injured? No, I'm just resting him. But why?
It doesn't make. Exactly. Like from what I saw, he was one of the most over things on his show, and then, oh yeah, I hadn't heard from Wardlow in a while. Oh, he's returned. He had a haircut. Well done.
Yeah, but like it's
change.
Like great, and it's might get people offside. It's a lot easier booking on a piece of paper and then actually booking real life humans.
Oh, for real. I can honestly, I could imagine that would be the case. And that's probably, if I ever decide to end up in getting into booking, you would be the first person that I call. And you'd probably get many, many calls hearing me go,
like, fuck! Don't.
Run.
Don't.
That's it, man. Well, look, man, best of luck for the live stream on the 11th of November. If there's anything that we can do here on Shooting the Shit Uncensored, we'll make sure to promote it and let all of our fan base and audience know about it as well. If you need me to pop in at any stage, man, let me know, and I'll make sure to put some time aside for it as well, because definitely a good cause, man. I would like to help in any way possible, as I'm sure our audience here would as well. So guys, make sure you go and check out Wrestle Radio Australia on Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you keep an eye out for the live stream, which is going to be a 10-hour live stream on the 11th of November. And also, keep an eye out on Wrestle Radio Australia. Where can everyone find you and Wrestle Radio Australia on social media so they can keep on top?
Yeah, at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now, and Instagram, just Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. Look us up there. I think we're doing a show tomorrow night. Yeah, we are. We're talking about Fastlane. So we're going to talk about Fastlane and why Edge only runs to one side of the stage when he comes out at AEW.
He is talking about Fastlane press conferences.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if it was that or if it was the green, but like. Jay was definitely somewhere, wasn't he?
So was Cody. Cody was fucking lit.
Yeah.
They were both like, Cody looked like he'd been like smoking a little something, but like Jay looked like he was like,
I'm not going to driving. He doesn't have to drive. He was in the bus, so it's all good.
Well,
also
maybe he was getting ready to drive. Who knows?
Yeah. Fight. World Series Wrestling.
Yes.
Myself, I'll be on the Brisbane leg of the show. it'll be on that Thursday night that this airs. So after you've listened to this or after you've watched this, go and watch that on Fine. You'll see what I'm talking about when I talk about guys like Mitch Ryder, guys like Tim Hayden, Bobby Bishop will be on that show. Yeet Stevens from up here in Queensland will be on that show as well. Plus all of the names that you'll see on the World Series tour, your Frankie Kazarians, your Ace Austins, your Chris Bays, your Matt Cardonas, all of those guys are going to be on the show as well. But please check out the local guys, because I say it as much as I possibly can. These guys could be on any card in any place in Australia, hell, in the world, and I think they would stand out or more than hold their own. So go and check them out. Please support Australian wrestling in any way, shape, or form that you can. That's what my thing has always been about at Wrestle Radio Australia, and I know you feel the same way, Piers. It's just, it's what we love. It's what we live for. It's what I work for every fucking day in my life, much to my wife's chagrin. I love this shit. I really do. I wouldn't like spend like a couple of hours talking about it with someone who I've never actually met in person in another state if I didn't absolutely love this.
100%, bro. And you know what, man? I honestly appreciate you coming on it. As I said in the intro, it's always a pleasure whenever I get to speak with you, whenever I get to catch up with you. Man, thank you so much for giving up your time to come and do this podcast with me, man. I really appreciate it, especially the busy week that you got going on, man. But guys, make sure you go check out Wrestle Radio Australia. Go and check out World Series of Wrestling. Go see Mr. Todd Eastman in the corner of Top Tier on that show. Straight after you watch this, you can go check it out on Fight TV. It'll be available to you. But guys, make sure you go and check out our sponsor. But this has been the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, The Truth, Piers Austin. And until next time, we'll see you again very soon. Take care. Peace.